So I thought this would be quite the interesting video. This is simming the 2024 season, but as you can see on your screen right there, every single game of the season for every single team is at their own practice facility. So you gotta play at the practice field during the game. And as you see, there's no actual intro or anything like that. It just gets right into it. Now, it is technically your home, practice field. So if you're at home, you play at home. If you're away, you play away. But very reminiscent of back, during the COVID year, there is little to no fans in the crowds because this is a practice field. And kind of weird actually that there isn't too many fans, to be honest, because I feel like there would be a lot of fans, right? I mean, these bleachers, there's a lot of bleachers here, but I don't think they can render in that many fans at the practice facility. So yeah, this is our opening game. Well, sorry, our opening game for the Chiefs preseason, and it is gorgeous. I freaking love the practice facilities, by the way. They upgraded it so much over the years, and they actually have done a really good job of that. But let's just see how this game goes and who ends up winning. But like I said before, this is going to be every single game of the season, playoffs included, and also the Super Bowl will be held at a practice field. So no one really has a competitive advantage. Fan-wise, I guess you could say, again, it's your practice field versus somebody else. But if you've seen my videos of breaking down practice fields, every single practice field, for the most part, is exactly the same. It looks the same. It has, just your different team logos on it. And that's pretty much that. Everything else is identical to how it would be for any other team. So let's just go ahead now and sim to the regular season. Let's see what ends up happening here, as I don't want to make all the cuts. That's my sly way of saying I don't want to go through the whole process of, making all the cuts. But first game of the season, as you guys know, is Ravens versus Chiefs. And let's just see what the Chiefs end up looking like after everything is said and done. So obviously they took Jared Wiley in the draft. They got Xavier Worthy as well. Again, all updated rosters, updated everything. They did get rid of a cornerback this offseason, went to the Titans actually. So kind of interesting. All right, so let's go over to the Ravens game. And just to kind of take a look at this again, because it is the first game of the season, I love how there's no intro to this. Like, it just starts off the game. There's no intro or, presentation because it's a practice field. What are you presenting? You're presenting the practice field. Freaking love this, man. You know what the best thing about this is? And I just realized this. I could, in theory, add a Blizzard mod to this and make every single game. Because as you know, some teams have domes, right? So when I do the Blizzard mod, it doesn't really work too well with teams that have domes. But if every single team has to play the practice field, well, the Blizzard, you kind of can't get away with it. You can't get away from it. So that's actually something I want to try out in a future video. And I might actually, I think I have a video idea I'm going to try out later. But let's just see how this season ends up going. So Chiefs beat the Ravens in overtime to start off the NFL season. And I'm going to try my best not to be broken record here, but if you want to see wherever a game is played, you just look at the bottom in the middle. It says 425 at the practice field. Meet me at the practice field for the Bengals versus Chiefs game. Something like that. Enough said. And it ends up being Bengals win 31-13. Week 3 here, the Chiefs lose to the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. That's a game that I feel like the Chiefs could lose in real life. In all honesty, that is such a up and down type of game that I could see either team winning. So they went against the Saints here, and this is probably my second franchise in a long time, where the Chiefs started off actually looking really good to start off the season. For some reason, they always suck at the beginning of the season for me, and then they start to get good near the end of the season. I think it's like, because I'm a Bengals fan, I think EA automatically has that triggered in my game. It's like the hope that they won't make the playoffs, and then they end up making the playoffs. But so far, they're actually doing really good in this franchise series. So, really surprising to nobody. The Chiefs are an interesting squad overall this year, though. I think they're going to struggle a tad bit. I just got the random feeling and hope and pray they do. I don't know. That division is so freaking easy. Madden doesn't do the division any justice. Because, like, for example, 6-7 Broncos, I think they're going to be like 5-11. The Raiders will be awful. The Chargers will be awful this year, but really good next year. I think next year the Chargers will be dominant. But 10-5, now they play the Steelers. And they end up actually so they were dominant part of this season, but they end off this season not looking so good as they go ahead and go 11-6. And they played the 9-8 Bengals. Nice. All right, so let's look at stats and how players did on the practice field. Almost 5,000 yards for Patrick Mahomes. Now, keep in mind, the practice field isn't any shorter than a regular NFL field. It's the same distance. The only difference is, again, the fans. There's really no fans at any of these games now. It almost reminds me of, as I said earlier, the COVID year, where it's like, you had either no fans or you had little to no fans. So overall wise, nothing too crazy added. 5,000 yards is a lot, but that's also Patrick Mahomes. And if you've watched any franchise series, Patrick Mahomes, 5,000 yards is not unrealistic for him to get simulated wise, but number 1 offense and number 3 defense, and yet you finish 11-6. Interesting. Miami is the number 1 seed. Baltimore is number 2 seed, which, to be honest, isn't really that crazy insane, but Miami being number 1 seed does shake some things up. The reason why I say it shakes some things up is because Miami's known for their own stadium is designed to heat up the opposing team's sideline. That's how their stadium is designed. Like, their sideline might be like 90 degrees. Their opponent's sideline can get up to 110 degrees. I still don't understand how that is freaking legal in the NFL. We designed our stadium to cook alive our opponents. This is so unrealistic. The Bengals lost. Anyway, I don't see how that's actually in any way legal, but yeah. So practice facilities, like I said before, guys. So they lost in the championship. So now we have Dolphins versus Cowboys at the practice field, Super Bowl. Which, yeah. Shout out to EA Sports. Shout out to the fact that the Chiefs did lose in the championship to the Dolphins, and then the Dolphins would lose in the Super Bowl to the Cowgirls. Man, that was an interesting season, guys. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys in the next one.